Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the Critical Breakdown. Wanted to make sure you're fully aware. We're on Facebook. We got our website, the Critical Breakdown, and make sure you're leaving ratings and reviews for us on iTunes or whatever podcatcher you're listening on. It helps us out a lot. It's what keeps us going. It's how we know that we're doing the right stuff for you, and we'll read them on the air if they're good, if they're funny. So bring your A game, people. Hello and welcome to the Critical Breakdown podcast, where we start at the bottom. Tomatoes work away to 100% fresh. I'm Scott.
And I'm Max, and I should have let Scott do the intro because this is a weird episode.
I did do the intro. Oh, you mean this part of the intro?
I should have let you handle the second part. So this week, due to just some personal stuff going on, some business travel, family emergencies, and upcoming holiday traveling, our schedule's kind of out of whack.
Yeah, people get busy, and that includes the podcast boys.
Yeah, sometimes they're the holiday boys instead. So we're gonna just kind of do a casual, short episode, just so that you guys hear our voices. If you really need some podcast holiday cheer,
maybe for that drive, that short drive that you're gonna do to the airport, maybe for your Thanksgiving travels.
Yeah,
little something from the Spicy Boys to you.
Maybe something to help you stuff the turkey.
Yeah. I don't want to ask then, but Max, what have you been watching?
Well, that's basically our next movie that we were going to review was The Prestige, and I managed to watch 6 things that weren't it, but that's because I was traveling out of the country and I had no access to the movie we were supposed to watch.
Nailed it. By the way, when you were in Canada, did you check out that Netflix Canada lineup at all?
I tried to, but it just wasn't working right for some reason, and everything I went to watch that was on my list was like out of region.
Yeah.
I could access like the Netflix originals, but I think I was getting confused because we were still close, but then we were in Canada, so I don't even know.
I remember when I was in Toronto, I was there for work and I had to cram like a ton of training. I had to create a bunch of training materials overnight, and I watched the entirety of the show Happy Endings on Netflix.
That's amazing.
Which is only on Netflix Canada, so.
Yeah, I didn't get too much time to explore. Long story short, I missed a flight, didn't get in until it was bedtime, ate a burger, and passed out, and that was my trip to Canada.
It's a classic Canadian experience.
Yeah, I felt authentic at least.
Yeah.
I did catch a bunch of things that should be in English, but instead were in, that were originally recorded in English and were in French because I was in Quebec.
Yeah.
So, French Canada.
Nailed it.
What I've been watching instead of our movie, The Prestige, which will be our next episode. So on the first leg of my trip, I watched a movie that you've seen before. You actually wrote about it before. It was Cold Mountain.
Oh yeah, I didn't know you watched it. How'd you like it?
It was good, man. It's long. It's an epic.
Yeah.
I do like myself long epics. I've talked about that before.
Yeah, and that's why I recommended it to you.
Yeah.
I knew it was kind of up your alley.
It's also there's certain things that I feel like knowing it's a movie from like 2003, I'm more interested in versus if somebody made a Civil War epic now that was just based on like white Southerners, I'd be less interested.
Yeah.
But the cast plus the fact that this is kind of like 15 years ago drew me in, and I'm glad I watched it. It's a really good Philip Seymour Hoffman like character part in there, and I know that's the weirdest thing to bring up first, but his character stuck out so much to me as like why it sucks that he's gone. He dominates the screen like every single performance, like every scene he's in, and it's just so fun to watch. But the whole movie as a whole, it's kind of strange because it's like a very entertaining film, but it's also kind of a somber film.
For sure.
So it's interesting how they managed to mash up a bunch of things that you really wouldn't think would be so, I don't know, entertaining, like, love letters that are going unanswered and war, very brutal war, and then like running away, and then mostly like an antagonist as far as Jude Law. I mean, not antagonist, protagonist as far as Jude Law, who's pretty much quiet the most of the movie. And
yeah,
then,
he's more of a vessel for, I feel like, everything else that happens to him.
Yeah.
to exist. Like Nicole Kidman and Renee Zellweger, they're really the stars of this.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, Jude Law does fine, but it's not really his story. I'd say if you had to say whose story is it, it would be Nicole Kidman's.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. No, and her and Zellweger's character had the most growth, obviously.
Yeah,
and
they had good chemistry together too. They felt like real friends, I thought.
Yeah, that was when that started developing. I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. So I thought it was just going to be focused on him. He managed to play a pretty, like I said, a pretty good like character, even though he was silent. But then these other characters from Nicole Kidman and Renee Zellweger, I mean, they made the movie basically.
How about that albino Charlie Hunnam?
Yeah, man, I kept
that was weird.
Out. I was like, who is that? And then I was like, oh, gross.
And I'm not a big Charlie Hunnam guy, and this didn't help.
No, this is probably like the worst I've seen him in something, and I'm neutral on him.
It's a good movie though. I mean, it's an investment. It's just under 3 hours, right? Or maybe even a little over.
Yeah, it must
be.
Like
2.5 to 3, but...
It's the length of a trip to Toronto. Actually, it's a little bit longer than that, because I was Detroit to Toronto, so...
Yeah. But it's... I was very entertained by it. Like you said, I feel like Civil War pictures don't really show, like, this side of things very much. It's usually a pretty black and white, hey, this is the Civil War, and slavery's bad, and all this... And I mean, that story needs telling too, but it was kind of cool to see other stuff.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, with modern films, your Civil War films should really just be focused on, not your Southerners, basically, but also painting like a more robust picture at the same time. Like, I don't know, we don't have to glorify things, but you could still tell stories. And I think this did a good job of not glorifying
for sure
anything. And but that opening battle scene was epic, and I think it really helped set the tone for the film too.
Yeah, and it kind of jolts you, and the rest of the film. While it's not boring, but it's certainly less action packed.
Yeah.
So it's like they lit their fuse, they blew it up right at the start, and then it just kind of not fizzles, but it just kind of unwinds from there.
Yeah.
And the ending is, well, I guess the very end has like a action sequence, but
there's like thrilling moments scattered without because he's on the run. So.
Right.
But it is more small scale from then out, which works actually a lot better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought the score was really good too.
Yeah, it had a good score. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad you checked it out, Max.
Yeah. Well, I got a soft spot for Kidman, so.
Yeah, I know you do.
Had to support Bay.
One thing I was surprised. One of the movies I watched, Ocean's 11, which I'd never seen. I thought Nicole Kidman could slide in that movie.
Yeah.
Maybe Ocean's 8, 7. What is the?
I think 8 is the new one.
Yeah, maybe that one. But I watched the Ocean's 11 from Steven Soderbergh this past week, and I enjoyed it.
04, 05?
Yeah, 03, 04, 05 in that range.
Yeah.
It's good though.
Yeah, I remember liking it. It's a fun heist movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple directions to go with a heist movie. There's like the more serious side, which is Heat, and then there's kind of the goofy side, which would be like this and Tower Heist and stuff.
Yeah, Taker.
And this isn't goofy by any means, but it's just different.
Well, this one's like tongue-in-cheek goofy when it needs to be.
Yeah, like the scene at the start when Brad Pitt and George Clooney are playing poker with Joshua Jackson, Topher Grace, and Jennifer Tilly, and a bunch of other actors, but they're not playing themselves; they're playing characters. That's the only time that I was like, I can't really indulge this. It was very strange to me.
How'd you like that Topher Grace performance there?
I mean, I don't know. It's Topher Grace,
I thought it was pretty funny in it.
He was funny, I thought Josh Jackson was funny too, but I just love seeing his face.
Oh yeah.
It didn't match his Bobby performance, but
one of the I want to say one of the Ocean's movies maybe has Julia Roberts' character playing a woman who looks just like Julia Roberts.
Yeah, I think that's Ocean's 12. I've heard about that scene, and it sounds really stupid, but it was good. The ending was interesting. There's one little part of it that I didn't enjoy. Like, I guess the statute of limitations is passed on Ocean's 11 spoilers, but
13, you still got to be careful, but 11's good.
Yeah, 13, you still got to be careful. But they had the whole thing where they were playing, the video feed was from a different time, really, and the vault was different. It was just, the whole thing with like, does it say Bellagio on the floor of the vault? Like, because they replaced that on Tuesday. Like, I just didn't like that line. That shouldn't have been a point because you should have noticed that. But other than that, it was just like, okay, that's cool. You know, it was nice to see Casey Affleck young again.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed Oceans.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fun. If you catch it, you're not like disappointed. You're not frustrated. It's entertainment at its
For sure.
at its like most true
it's a
form,
Hollywood
I guess.
movie.
Yeah,
It's a Hollywood movie.
exactly.
And I'll catch 12 and 13. Like, I'm not going to avoid them. And I'm not really going to go out of my way to see them. But if I see them, I see them.
If someone like makes you watch them, you just watch them. You know.
Yeah, there's someone, I'd watch it with someone if they put it on.
Well, yeah, I watched a couple other things.
Yeah, hit us with that.
I watched 2 TV shows on my travels. One for sure I know I'll stick with because it's amazing. The other one I'm gonna give it maybe one more episode and see. I enjoy it, but there's about 4 other shows I'd rather watch on top of it. So
lead with that one. Which one was that one? The iffy.
That is Amazon original Tin Star.
I have never even heard of Tin Star.
Yeah, it's Tim Roth is probably the most recognizable person in it besides Christina Hendricks, and it's yeah, it's Amazon original set. It was in Canada actually, which is kind of funny. That's where I was, but it's set in like a small Canadian town, and he's a English police officer who moves out to become their chief, just because he had to get away from his life that he left behind, which was alcoholism and drug addiction. He had it himself. And so he tries to start new, and basically this big oil company comes in, and they just, want to make a new refinery, and him and a couple other townsfolk are kind of against it, just on different reasons. And it just starts building up where there's an assassination attempt made on him that ends up killing his son. And from there out, like that's kind of where the story begins, and you just kind of backtrack and catch up to it. And it's okay. I mean, I wasn't like enthralled with it, but on a plane, it wasn't bad watching.
Yeah, sometimes you need something that you're not that into for a plane.
Yeah,
because you're not going to catch all of it.
Yeah, exactly. So for before I was fully in the mood to engage with something, I was like, this is all right. It's pretty good. I mean, Tim Roth is an entertaining actor, and
sure,
everyone else in it seems pretty solid so far. So it's it's fine. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you're like a super Tim Roth fan.
Sure. I'll keep it on the back burner.
Yeah.
Also,
it's a rainy day show. That's a good way to think of it. Well, you watch anything else, Scott?
Yeah, I got a couple TV shows. One I finished and one I started. I finally finished, and I don't even remember if I brought it up here on the pod, but I finished Mindhunter.
Yeah, you did bring it up. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, I finally finished it this week. It's the Netflix show that was kind of show run by David Fincher, and he directs 4 of the episodes about the FBI and in the 70s, the mid 70s, and learning how to profile serial killers. And it's just a really creepy and interesting show. And the ending was interesting. There's not like everything builds up to this one moment ending. They're just like things kind of slowly progress. And that's fine. They've already announced the 2nd season, which doesn't surprise me because it's very popular and well reviewed. So I've heard rumors that in the 2nd season they're going to like follow a specific serial killer, and that could make it a little interesting. It wasn't like a crime procedural here, but I could see it falling into that with the wrong hands, where each episode could just be like, who's the serial killer of the week that we're going to track. But hopefully they keep it original and spicy,
Yeah.
It's good. It's really well shot. It looks like it's a David Fincher show because he has kind of a distinctive style to him, and it shows here very much.
Yeah. I know.
So it's fine.
No, I've heard some of those rumors about it following a specific story too. That seems to be going around.
For the 2nd season, you mean?
Yeah.
One thing that I think is cool, Ed Kemper is one of the serial killers that they feature pretty heavily in this season. And there's tapes of interviews with Ed Kemper, like real ones, and comparing the filming and the acting of the person playing Ed Kemper and the actual Ed Kemper. It's pretty nuts to see the mannerisms, how everything's so perfect. And I think David Fincher is pretty famously a perfectionist who won't let anything go until it's exactly like it needs to be. So it's pretty cool. But I recommend it. It's creepy, but it's fine. It's not scary. It's just kind of a creepy show.
Yeah. It got decent buzz.
Yeah.
Everyone talked
sure.
about it for a good amount of time.
Yeah, and then other shows came out on Netflix and stuff, so it kind of had it took the back seat. And again, I mean, that's why I didn't finish it. Stranger Things came out, other stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I finished up. And then I started, and I'm about halfway through a new Netflix cartoon called Big Mouth. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's Nick Kroll and John Mulaney, and basically every voice actor in there is someone you've heard of and is like an established comedian. But it's just this really funny, it's very adult show about middle schoolers going through puberty. It's kind of hard to explain. It's very weird. It's not for everyone, but I appreciate its weirdness, and I laugh quite a bit watching it. It'll have stuff like puberty demons, like whispering into the kids' ears that they should masturbate and stuff like that. And it's just like very strange, but I enjoy it. So I'm only a few episodes in. I'll keep going with it, but it's an oddball that has caught my eye.
Yeah. I'll jump back to something I watched.
Yeah.
Which we don't have to go into too deep because I think we kind of talked about it earlier. But I rewatched Clueless on my travels.
Yeah, we talked about it at work.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about it on the pod much.
No, but I rewatched Clueless, and it's always a fun one. It's a good comfort movie for me. It's just a great like satirical look at 90s teen culture, but it's also a like a sincere story at the same time, and it's based off of what was it, Emma?
Emma, yes.
Yeah, based off of
Which
Emma.
Who's the author? Emily Bronte?
It'd be Bronte if that's who it is.
Bronte.
One of the Brontes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but no, it's good, man. It's just Clueless is just fun viewing. I recommend it. I recommend revisiting it. There's things I caught as an adult that I never caught as a kid or a teenager.
It's kind of timeless, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking, and I know you love cinematic universes, so I'm just gonna toss this one at you.
Ooh, share it.
It might be the cinematic universe you're least interested in, but I would vouch for it. Would be I don't know if you remember this, but her dad is a lawyer, and he's very proud of her when she can make like good arguments about stuff.
Okay.
So she like argues that her grades should be A's instead of B's and C's in certain classes, and her arguments are so strong afterwards that she gets like some higher grades out of it. And he's like, I couldn't have been more proud of you if you earned those grades yourself.
Yeah.
And he's like genuinely excited, and it got me thinking, like, what if she grew up and then became a lawyer?
Legally Blonde.
And then I was like, her and Elle Woods from Legally Blonde could open their own law firm.
Yeah.
Then you have Cher Horowitz, so you have Horowitz and Woods.
Is that her name in Clueless?
Yeah, it's Cher Horowitz.
Okay.
So, Horowitz and Woods.
Hey.
That's their firm. I want it. I'm in.
Universal, give us a call. I don't know if it's Universal.
Well, they're desperate for a franchise, so maybe.
Yeah, they could bring it into the Monsters universe.
God. But no, watch Clueless again. It's good.
I will. And I know you're watching something for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's very near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm. It's true. No, on my trip, since you and a bunch of other friends had very highly built up Band of Brothers, and I think on the last episode I said I will check it out sooner rather than later. I just, I went ahead and downloaded like the first 3 episodes and watched them, and it's just really good TV.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to be anything but superlative for it. I mean, the characterization's incredible, the action scenes are incredible, the music and the visuals are stirring and incredible, and it's like the perfect miniseries.
Yeah.
So you finished the 3rd episode. Was that Karen Tan with Sergeant Blythe or Private Blythe, I think?
When I say I've finished it, I have like 5 minutes left on that one.
Okay.
So it's like paused right there. But
yeah. So every episode basically closely follows one. Well, basically every episode closely follows either one or a group of soldiers.
Yeah.
While everything else happens. So like the first one is the first 2 are Winters episodes, played by Damian Lewis expertly. Um, and then all of them have their own episodes. It's a very good show. It's a very good show.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you to finish it.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it a lot, taking my time with it. I mean, I've always been cool with Damian Lewis.
Yeah.
And watching this, I'm just like, he's amazing. And then
you get it.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's awesome. He's just he just handles it. And I know people who are like huge fans of his. Like they'll watch anything he's in, and he's always just kind of had this following that's like small but like
loyal,
very loyal. So I mean, yeah, I get that. And I thought David Schwimmer's character was very interesting in the first episode.
Yeah, it's kind of perfect in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
Sobel.
I mean, Schwimmer's so good at playing the like the rejected doofus. It was good to see him play it as a hard ass first, and inevitably, you know, he does face rejection, but it's both like, this is better for you, son, anyway, like one of those kind of things.
Yep.
So it was just interesting to see it like multifaceted, and not just played like one note. But I thought he did a very good job, because he really sold how like upset he was that it was happening to him, but also how duty bound he was that he was accepting it at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's kind of the thing with the military. You don't really have the option to not accept it.
Exactly, yeah. But, I mean, and since he was a military guy, you know, like, he was in it.
Yeah.
He accepted it, so.
No, I love Sobel. I thought he was a very good character. I mean, they're all... I read the book, too. It's based on a Stephen Ambrose novel. And what's interesting, Band of Brothers has so many little stars in it. Like, for example, Michael Fassbender plays basically a background character. And I think in the next episode you'll watch James McAvoy plays a character.
That's awesome.
And Jimmy Fallon's in an episode, and Simon Pegg is in it. Like, all these random little guys get little roles.
Yeah, I've come across Simon Pegg already, and I think he was playing an American.
He was playing an American, which is very weird.
Because they were in England by that point, so I was like, why not just make him a freaking British troop who like meets up with them? He has one line, so it doesn't really matter. But I was cracking up at that. I was like, what? And yeah, I've seen some people now that like are in The Walking Dead, and just some other character actors that I know.
Tom Hardy is in it eventually.
That's awesome.
Michael Fassbender's character is Private Christensen, who most of the book is from basically Christensen's perspective, because he wrote like incredibly detailed journals of every day. Yeah. And so that's how Ambrose got a lot of materials, that and interviews with people. But so it's just kind of interesting. As a book reader, I was like, oh yeah, I got it.
Because it's based on like real stories, right?
Oh yeah, yep. Easy Company was a real thing.
Yeah, I know Easy Company was real. I just couldn't remember if the characters themselves were real. So,
yep. As far as I know, all of them are.
Here's one thing for you. There's a character played by an actor named Scott Grimes.
Yeah, Malarkey,
who was also Will from Party of Five.
Really?
He was Bailey's best friend.
Huh, I didn't know that.
So,
and Party of Six, more like it.
Yeah, for real.
It's got Grimes in there.
He was always a fun addition to the show. So
yeah,
we
apparently have you watched that new show? I think it's called The Orwell. It's like the Seth MacFarlane Star Trek spoof.
I've been as interested in that as I have been Star Trek Discovery. So,
well,
I haven't watched it.
The Orville show I haven't watched either, but it's getting a lot of good buzz. And Scott Grimes plays a character, one of the main characters of it. So
that's cool.
Good for him. But you'll see so many faces that it's like, that guy I've seen in other stuff. Like the person who plays Sergeant Garnier is in Catch Me If You Can as like a background character.
Yeah.
There's so many people like that. There's a Wahlberg.
Yeah, Donnie's in it.
He was in Saw 2.
He's in Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
He shoots the dude.
He shoots some dudes in this.
Yeah, man.
But no, it's good stuff. I'm glad you're watching it.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it to people who haven't watched it. It's good TV.
Yeah, man. It's not TV, it's HBO.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. This episode's brought to you by HBO.
Max, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish? Not turkey. Can't be the main course.
Can I just go there, man? I won't even be able to really eat it. I love stuffing.
I mean, you can eat it. You're choosing not to. Right?
No, like, I think I'll die if I eat stuffing, man. Because of how much I eat.
Right.
I love it, man.
Stuffing's good.
It's bread with turkey juices baked into it.
Yeah. Hit me with them green beans. I like green beans.
Really, you're a green bean boy?
Green beans are my favorite vegetable, and even on such rarefied occasion as Thanksgiving, I'm still going for the green beans. Scoop me up.
If I had to pick a runner-up,
cranberry sauce. You seem like you could throw down on some sea sauce.
No, I like cranberry sauce, but I've lessened on it because growing up I liked the congealed can, and then my wife introduced me to like how you take cranberries, however they make the actual sauce, and it changes the game, but I'm just not used to it yet. So both have been like wiped off the table for me.
I'm still on team congealed can. Get that ocean spray, get that cranberry sauce.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I get you. Don't get me wrong. It's just I haven't had it in like a decade. So
yeah.
If you're making a sandwich, though, that is the ideal cranberry sauce to put on your post-Thanksgiving sandwich.
Okay. I respect that. Any Black Friday shopping for you? Or do you ever do that?
I've dipped into Black Friday before, and it's just not my thing, man.
Me and my sister like to do Black Friday. I don't know if we are this year. I haven't the past couple, but I've gone to Best Buy. I've waited after Thanksgiving dinner before. It's the spectacle of it all is kind of...
It's like...
Neat's not the right word, but it's like, okay.
I went like 1 year before it was cool. No, I went 1 year when it wasn't like huge. It was just like people knew about it. Like
it's become
techies,
like this...
Techies kind of knew about it. And so like I knew a bunch of techies, and so that's why I went. And yeah, now when I go, man, you know what I feel like? You know what I feel like when I go?
What do you feel like, Max?
I feel like...
I'm losing my mind!
Are you...
I'm insane with anger!
Yeah.
Just maybe stay home this year, then.
Yeah, it's, it's... I'll just do Cyber Monday if I need to do anything.
I think even Amazon's doing Black Friday this year. It's lost its exclusivity.
Yeah.
Now I can do it from bed, and I will.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Max, I think we have a visit from an old friend here.
Oh, yeah?
It's time for 20 questions.
Today's question.
Yeah.
What is a property you hope never gets adapted?
That never gets adapted?
Yeah. Basically...
Yeah, no, like a book or a video game or a comic book
like
or
what's
anything.
A sacred cow for you?
I don't know if this counts, but in this age of remakes, I think it needs saying.
I know where you're going.
I don't want them to touch Back to the Future.
Yeah.
It's perfection, and there's nothing that you could do in a remake that's going to make it a better film.
I agree, and I think Robert Zemeckis agrees and has disavowed any attempts at any contact about it.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, I'm not super into Robert Zemeckis these days. I mean, not for any reason. It's just like I feel like he's a little behind the times.
He just hasn't done anything of value.
Yeah. He hasn't wowed me in a little while, but just stay stumping for that. Another one I'll go with is the Wheel of Time book series. I know a lot of people talk about it these days because like high fantasy's in. Like Amazon just paid like $1 billion to be able to do Lord of the Rings shows.
Yeah.
And everyone wants the next Game of Thrones, including HBO. And the Wheel of Time is a very popular fantasy series, but it's huge. It's 14 books. And I've only even read 3 of the books, but it's very confusing in those 3 books. There's a lot of characters, a lot of weird shit going on. And I can see it being picked up and adapted very poorly. Maybe just don't.
Yeah, I've always been told I should read it. I bought one of the books. I haven't touched it yet, but I'm interested to read it, and I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. It's, again, it's fine, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you got any sacred cows?
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, as I see more and more adaptations, man, it's almost like, more adaptations, it's more like I'm kind of cool with us, like, chilling out on just adaptations as a whole, of, like, books and stuff like that. Like you were kind of saying with this. I understand that. There's this book series I like a lot called the Leviathan trilogy, which is like, it's kind of like the board game Scythe, where it's kind of a World War I setting with robots, mecha or whatever you call them, and then also it has genetically engineered. So it's like the Axis has clanker powers is what they call them, and the Allies have like biogenetically engineered weapons. So like giant whales they fly in, and it's a great book series. And at first I was like, they should really make a movie out of this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And then after seeing things like The Golden Compass, I'm like, well, they don't really have to make a movie out of this. You know, like maybe we don't. Maybe we could just leave it as a book and people should just read more books. But then again, as soon as I hear of a good adaptation, I'm like, maybe we could watch that. So
it's just, yeah, I mean, there's good movies and there's bad movies.
I could also just say Dune if it wasn't Denny doing the next one.
Well, that's rock solid confirmed as far as I know.
Yeah, no, it is. That's what I'm saying. If he wasn't, I'd be like, just don't make another Dune. I'm not even a fan of the book. I just don't want to have to sit through that again.
Plus, yeah, I'm not a fan of the original movies, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, but he did, Denny did say it will be nothing like that, so.
Yeah, which is good.
Definitely good.
Hopefully there's still a pug, though.
Yeah, I hope it's just only pugs.
Oh, yeah, Dune pug. That'd be good. I hate to cut us short here, Max, but speaking of my pug, he is currently eating the siding of my couch.
Nice.
So where can the good people find us?
Man, you could find us, Mr. Worldwide. I guess Mr. Worldwide's. But you could just, I don't even know what that means. You can find us on Twitter and on Facebook. But you can always find us at our website, thecriticalbreakdown.com. You can find me finding 1,000 ways not to rewatch my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, The Prestige. Or you could just find me at Max Rivera Film on Twitter.
You can find me in a permanent tryptophan coma. Or you can find me at breakdown_Scott on Instagram. Shoot us an email. Let us know your favorite Thanksgiving tradition, you know?
Yeah. Let us know.
Do you and your family have a movie you always watch on Thanksgiving? Let us know. And while you're emailing us, make sure to wish Jason Brown happy Thanksgiving as he did our music.
And Josh Rivera, send him some turkey because he did our artwork.
Turk. And Wally's the podcast ham.
And we're out of here. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.